indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey everybody, this is John Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly, and it's another Trump-tastic day in Fayette County. Today's show is being brought to you by Monarch Windows and Doors, Mauser's Garage and Tire Center, Mung's Auto Body, PatriotsOnline.com, Fayette County Recovery Storage and U-Haul, Country Motor Sales, Gunslingers, Auto Ordnance, Thundering Hill Feed and Supply, The Ink Spot in South Connellsville, Solid Foundation Ministry, Highline Motorsports. Go out and see Greg. He's got stuff out there. It'd be fun to play with right now in the snow while the temperature's up. Go buy something off of him. Gun Owners of America, Hillbilly Jon Radio, and John Marietta for We the People, and White Mountain Logging if you need them are the guys that help supply us with firewood. Okay, hey, it's been we're kind of busy today, but we got some things I want to tell everybody about. One thing I want to put a shout out to the Fayette EMS. They had to come back to come back and help us out again. We had a problem at the house. My mother-in-law had to be transported to the hospital, and I want to thank people from Fayette EMS. They're professionals, and I tell you what, the county needs to thank these guys. They do over and over and over again. They came out at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I tell you what, they're just really good people, and they do a really fine job. The other thing I want to shout out for is all the ladies all the nurses not just ladies anymore, all the nurses at the Uniontown Hospital that are taking care of things for us. And I'll tell you what, the professionalism at that hospital, my wife has said, is over the top. And I want to thank all of them for everything they do. They do remarkable work there, and thank you all for what you've done for us. Okay, I want to start out with this today. The borrower is the servant. The borrower is the servant to the lender. That's Proverbs 22:7. I'll tell you what, Fayette County, today we're going to talk about something that's been weighing heavy a lot on folks around here. Property taxes and how they're crushing the American dream for hardworking families, especially our farmers and blue-collar workers. Let me paint you a picture. You work your whole life to buy a piece of land, maybe a house, maybe a farm. You bust your tail to pay for it, to maintain it, to build a future for your family. But no matter how hard you work, the government keeps its hand in your pocket. Every year, they're back for more. Higher property taxes, more burdens, and fewer answers from the government. Here's the truth. Property taxes are robbing us blind. Farmers are already facing tight margins with rising costs of equipment, seed, fertilizer, and being taxed out of their land. Blue-collar families, the backbone of Fayette County, are struggling to hold on to their homes. It's not right. It's not fair. Think about it. Property taxes mean you never own what you've worked so hard for. You could pay off your mortgage, but if you can't keep up with the taxes, you could lose it all. It's not freedom. It's not the American dream. That's the government making us renters of what's supposed to be our own. And let's talk about our farmers for a minute. These are the folks who put food on our tables and keep America going. But the property taxes eating into their profits many are being forced to sell off land just to stay afloat. Fayette County was built on farming, on hard work, on self-reliance. How do we keep this heritage alive if our farmers are being taxed off of their land? And what's all this money going toward anyway? Wasteful spending, bloated budgets, pet projects that don't benefit the people paying the bills. Instead of cutting back and tightening their belts, the county and state just keep coming back to we the people for more. Here's the bottom line, folks. Property taxes are a direct threat to our families, our farms, and our future. If we want to protect what we've worked for, we need leaders who will stand up and fight for tax reform. We need accountability. We need transparency. We need a government that respects the sacrifices of the people it serves. Now, I'm just not here to point fingers. I'm here to tell you that change is possible, and we can cut waste. Focus on spending and give families the relief they need. But it's going to take all of us, we the people, to make it happen. So Fayette County, let's stand together. Let's fight for our farmers, our workers, and our families. The American dream isn't dead, and the American dream isn't dead. Not if we have anything to say about it.
All right, John.
I tell you what, it's just so important that people don't realize what property taxes do to people.
Well, you know, we saw firsthand with Winifred Striner, it's a poor woman.
About
lost her farm, and she's barely hanging on up there, and she's on a fixed income, and all she's doing is just getting by, and she's barely able to hang on to her farm, and we see it, and I know there's a lot of heartbreaking stories every day over the tax assessment.
Winifred was like the third or fourth one we were involved with.
Oh yeah, and I've talked to some friends that have had that are attorneys that this is a common area of law that they. Each of them are getting 2 and 3 of these people they're saving. And then, of course, that costs them more money because Winifred has to pay late fees and catch up and things. But it's just a burden on the people with the fixed income. Now, I'm of the age where if you put a little more on my back, I can bear the burden and work a little harder. But, everyone can't do that. And they're not at that prime earning age. And it just gets tougher and tougher. And it's really unnecessary. When we look at the commissioners tried to explain why they had to do the tax increase. And there was a lot of places they could cut. And, we've been pretty vocal about, hey, this is 26% tax increase all in 1 year. This is a permanent tax increase. Most of the reasons the commissioners gave for the tax increase were one-time expenses. Commissioners Vasides noted that there's a lot of mandated spending, and that's true. But the reason we have mandated spending is because we are currently classified as a 4th-class county, and we should be a 5th-class county by the statute. They could easily go to the court and petition the courts to change our status from a 4th-class to 5th-class county. They went to the courts to ask to borrow money. They didn't have any trouble doing that. And there's a lot of easy cuts that they could make. And rather than us just sit here and holler at them for raising taxes, we want to point out one. The clearest and biggest, the most immediate need for a cut is the commissioners should eliminate the jury commissioner's position. It is ridiculous. To have that position, we have one Democrat and one Republican. It's the most un-American thing.
It is, because we don't have an independent. You don't have a libertarian one.
An independent, a libertarian can never hold those offices. These are political jobs that are a remnant from a different era. And even our state legislature, back in 2013, they passed Corbett signed a bill. They're allowed to abolish jury commissioners. And you know what, folks? Most of the counties have abolished them. I'm reading an article where it cites at least 49 of the state's 67 counties have abolished jury commissioners since that bill was adopted. 49 of 67. And guess what? One of the counties that abolished their jury commissioner back in, I believe it was 2013, it might have been 2014 that went into effect. One of the counties that abolished their 2 jury commissioners was Beaver. Beaver has an 80 million plus annual revenue stream at that county. That county is booming. They do it with one administrator. They've eliminated 2 positions. Fayette County, we have a much, much smaller population than Beaver. We have much less income coming in, yet we've maintained 3 people to do the work of 1. We've got the full-time staff person, and we've got 2 part-time picks that are really picked from the party, right? If a Democrat or a Republican, they're picked by the machines. And what could they possibly be doing to justify their existence? If Beaver can do it with 1 person, why does Fayette need 3?
Well, if like I said, we could do a lot of things. We could combine a lot of offices. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Well, wait, I know, John, but the other ones require court approval. The commissioners would have to petition the court.
Yeah.
They didn't mind petitioning the court to borrow $12 million. So they'll go borrow money, petition the court. But they don't even have to petition the court to eliminate the jury commissioner's position, especially how you can keep those frivolous jobs with benefits. And we were trying to debate. I did today put in a right to know request to find out exactly what the salary is. I heard that this part-time job pays $12,000 a year. I also heard it pays $22,000 a year. I also these are full benefits. I also ask in the right to know request: are our jury commissioners taking the benefits? Have they added their family to the benefits? This is a great job if even at $12,000, but if it's $22,000 for a part-time gig, my goodness. What are they doing up there with that kind of money? Beaver's doing it with one person.
Exactly.
And we just raised on our elderly, we raised the taxes and everybody 26%. That's a brutal tax increase. And the commissioner should have done this back in 2013. I just can't believe that this is something they could put it on the February meeting. In fact, I would please urge the commissioners to do so, because you could eliminate that position before these people run out and get petitions and all that done, and you can interrupt the cycle right now. They could save that money right this minute, right there. And if they do save 15 or 20 or 50,000, whatever the total is, you save that forever. You got to start building a framework to shrink this county down, and you really need to go to a fifth-class county.
Well, then the mandated spending would come to an end. A lot of it.
The commissioner's crying, well, we got mandated spending. Of course you do, because you're bigger than your britches. You're trying to run a county that by virtue of the statute, you're out of whack with the state statute. You're trying to maintain all the jobs and all the kickbacks and all the graft. Let's get right size. We need to right size this government. They say, well, we'll lose a couple of grants. I haven't seen where they've done great with any of the grants at all anyhow. But where are these grants helping the taxpayer? You work for the taxpayers. Come on. I know we beat you guys up pretty bad, but I'll tell you what. I'll sing your praises if you start making some real cuts and some real change. Take the lead. That's what you're elected to do, especially our Republican commissioners. This was a Corbett bill. Tom Corbett passed that bill back and guess what? Well, the majority of the counties, even in bigger counties than us, even in third-class counties, took advantage of it. I just can't believe that we haven't. So, and this article is from 2013, 2014, and it states at least 49 of the state's 67 counties have abolished jury commissioners since the bill was passed, and that was according to the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania. We're a member of that group. Our commissioners go out. Didn't they hear this? Is this news to them, John?
Evidently, it must be.
I mean, it's unbelievable, but right there's a low-hanging fruit. That's something you guys could cut, and you don't need to go. You don't need a referendum. All you need are two you guys. It could be Scott and Vince, or it could be the two Republicans. And and I tell you, please, look at these people. You've seen the impact of what people are saying and what they're feeling, and you've heard them testify about this unwarranted 26% tax increase. How can you raise taxes 26% on our elderly without making this very obvious cut? And there's others. If they didn't see this, John, what other cuts aren't they seeing?
Well, we're gonna figure this out a little bit at a time, and that's our goal. We just don't want to be here to point fingers at people, but we want to try every week from now until
find a way
they can cut
and suggest it to them.
And if they do it, that's fine. If they don't,
and they can say they were thinking about this all along. We're not trying to get the credit here. We're just trying to get the taxes down.
Yeah.
That's all.
We just wanted to cut taxes. And Gino, you were at the meeting. They said that they take in $31 million in tax revenue every year. That's what they said.
Right.
They said they take in $31 million in tax revenue. But our budget is over $50 million.
It's over $50 million.
So there's over a $20 million deficit. So
they're borrowing money to shore up the pension. My goodness, that ought to scare every taxpayer. I mean, that ought to scare you all to death.
They're not taking in, yeah.
Here's my concern. 26% this year. They're not doing. I don't see any big cuts coming, John. They're not announcing any cuts. They couldn't find them. Vince said he found $1 million whenever the heat was on. Well, I guess we're gonna have to keep the heat on, Vince. Maybe you can find another $1 million. I mean, I don't know what else to do. This tax increase, and this is an issue that's not going to go away.
No,
because they've designed a framework. I mean, it's insane, this Gallatin Bank building and all these properties they purchased.
Well, you have Penn State that's struggling, and they're
I see some of
and
the
they're Penn
counties are
State.
really rallying to save Penn State.
Yeah,
That's what our commissioners need to do, not invite competition into the marketplace, which I understand is what they were doing with Salem University.
yeah, exactly. Dave Lohr voted no against that, by the way.
Dave gave some good votes. Okay, Dave, you're voting right on a couple things. You voted on it. Let's take the lead, buddy. You can lead. At least put it up. And if the other ones don't vote, let's out them. But let's put some heat on. Leading means taking charge of these cuts. These cuts are going to come no matter what, because our county is shrinking. It's been shrinking since I was born for the last 50 years. Why we need bigger space and more. I mean, John, look in your office how you can get by on so much less space now that everything's digitized. Why don't we modernize the clerk's office and the recorder or the clerk of courts? We modernize these offices.
Why don't we just collect all the money that's owed to the clerk of courts?
Yeah, collect that, and then you've got Jeff Redmond's office down there. That's Register of Wheels.
Yeah.
These technology makes it possible to make these offices smaller. But you know what? What's happening is our commissioners want to keep government big. It goes back to the whole Democrat corruption that we see over and over again. Even with the party, we watched listen to that Democrat hour with the chairman Huck Rattay, the Democrat Party, how he cries about Donald Trump's and bankruptcies. Donald Trump has never ever filed personal bankruptcy. He's never been broke. George Rattay can't say that. Vince Vasidis can't say that. They both filed personal bankruptcies. Trump never did that, yet they'll sit and bash Trump. This is why our county's in trouble, the leadership. And I tell you, we're getting it posted on a couple of sites, the letter from the Democrats that was dated in 2020, where there was mishandling of funds and they were doing a lot of things wrong. And in that letter that we're going to put up, it mentions a fundraiser and items that were never accounted for in 2021 when Trinette Cunningham was the treasurer. Right now, the Democrats they're trying to get back these row seats, and they want to use them to rebuild the party so they can maintain this corruption. Let's start cutting government. And now's the time to do it. When I hear the Democrat radio hour so out of touch with the county, they're defending these tax increases and this bloated government. Oh, they had to do it. You can't cut services. We need to cut services because what you're cutting into now, you're cutting into everybody's wallet. And this is the most ludicrous thing that they did this 20% tax increase, and with no real cuts. Let's get rid of this one. We should have cut this back in 2016 at least by. Beaver County can do it. Other counties are doing it with one person. Yet we need three. And they're going to raise our taxes. They're going to raise our taxes so they can hand out two cushy jobs to political appointees, basically. These are political appointees. If you're in the Green Party or the Libertarian Party or any of the other parties,
or just an independent,
you could never even run for that job. This is a relic of the past. And I mean, the states provided us, we all want to blame the state, blame government. This is our local government. The states provided a pathway that we can move to a fifth-class county and avoid these tax mandates that they're saying, well, they're mandated. They're only mandated because yous are morons and you won't stay in your lane and get where we need to be as a county.
There's going to have to be consolidation. There's no doubt about it. Unless for some reason that there's some great big industrial complex coming in here.
The only thing I can figure is they're planning on an influx of immigrants because you don't have time to give birth to that many. You'd have to bus in all the immigrants that Trump's deporting. You'd have to put in about 20,000, 30,000 people.
By the way, they were making light at Donald Trump sending them. They turned them planes around from Colombia, but guess what? The Colombian president sent his own planes to get them people because he didn't want to have to pay the 25.
Colombia got in line real quick.
From what I understand now, Mexico's slowing things down too.
Well, the Democratic talking heads are losing their minds about Trump's doing everything he said he was going to do.
And why can't it be?
No one should be surprised. This is what the majority of America wants. I mean, give me a break.
I mean, I think he said it kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I think he really meant it, the Gulf of America. Why can't it be the Gulf of America? Why is it got to be the Gulf of Mexico? Why can't we call it the Gulf of America?
Well, there's no reason we can't.
Why not?
And it's funny because Trump does some of this stuff to keep his
Yeah,
ratings up.
yeah.
You know what I mean? He's really good at it. I just can't believe the Democrats can't figure it out. It makes me laugh. But here's the truth: the reason the Democratic
He's
Party's weak,
playing him like a fine violin right now.
The Democratic Party abandoned the unions. They got very elitist.
Exactly.
They got corrupt. And that's what happened. In fact, speaking of unions, in an upcoming show, I've personally got to talk to 3 members of the Dirty Dozen. And the Dirty Dozen, if you don't know it, it's some of Huck's old brothers, union brothers. And they can't wait to come on the show. And they can't wait to tell you what Huck really thought of the unions back when he was involved. And they're going to talk about pension being modified. And it's just a little teaser of things to come. But you're going to find out what Huck Rattay's actions, really what he thinks about the unions. But now getting back to the unions, Trump has got the unions, at least the rank and file.
The rank and file, definitely.
And John, I know as a Republican, you're a pro-union guy.
Absolutely.
And I certainly am a pro-union person. And so I'm excited to see.
But a lot of people don't realize the rank and file is different from the hierarchy. I mean, they're definitely different.
Well, I know he has a lot of the hierarchy in some of the unions.
But
and what good is it being in a union if there's no work anyhow?
Well,
for anybody.
The natural gas industry, the coal industry, just the energy sector altogether has to get behind. We have to get in front of what's coming because it's coming. He's on a mission. He's going to start selling natural gas all the Northern Europe, the Great Britain. It's coming. You can see it. And if we don't get ahead of it in the next year or so, Fayette County is going to be left behind. And people will say, well, what's our county commissioners going to do? I'm not sure what they can do, but they got to do something. They have to do something to get involved.
The main thing that needs to happen right now, they have to start paying more attention to the people. I mean, they're breaking our back with this tax increase. They need to, and it's the same thing, unfortunately, is happening with the schools, right? These schools are going to consolidate whether they want to, or it's going to get so bad that they just have to, and then we're kind of in the middle of that. Leaders would lead. You see what's coming. Get ahead of it. Let's shrink this government. Those commissioners could do a complete turnaround with the public if they would lead the charge. Go to the court and ask them, hey, we're going to petition. We want to be a 5th-class county because we're there. We're actually there now. And what they're doing is so unfair. They're asking a small percentage of the population to pay the bills of a 4th-class county, and we just don't have, it's not fair. It's just not fair to the individuals. And all they're doing is trying to keep their friends in jobs, and they're trying to keep this government big. Let's be real. Let's put the people first. I'll tell you something. Having only a Republican and only a Democrat jury commissioner, how's that a we the people thing?
It's not.
It's not. It's right. Am I right?
Not.
It's bad for both parties because it's dirty. It encourages dirty politics, and that's what you got. You've got this. It's what's happened here. You've got these parties. I say the Democrat Party. They don't meet with their members. They have meetings with, I guess, maybe their executive board. That's a real circle jerk there, and they just cover up each other's stuff. This stuff has got to stop. The people are good. They've had enough, and that's why the people went with Trump. And they'll go with the next candidate that provides, that kind of relief. I just feel bad the state right now that this county's in, and it's so clear they have to make cuts. We've talked about this for so long, and this is not news. And one of the things on the campaign trail, Vince mentioned that the population is stabilizing, and it's going. Even if it stabilizes in the next 50 years, we're not going to have enough people to be. To meet the statute requirements of a 4th-class county. I mean, the leadership says, wait a second, you can see what's coming and you prepare for it and you make the tough cuts. This is about Vince Veces will sell out every Democrat in the county just to protect his best interest. And it looks like Scott, I mean, where's Scott at? Scott, I don't know if you can get to Scott done. This is low-hanging fruit. Cut the jury commissioner's job. Get rid of it and do it at the next meeting. Right there, you'll save. I mean, we're going to know how much because I just did the right to know request today. They've got to get back to me within 5 days, or they could stall out or whatever. But it's significant. It's significant enough that Beaver County did it, and 49 other counties did it years ago. They've literally saved millions of dollars for the taxpayers collectively. Why aren't we doing this?
I don't know. I guess
It's a political job. I mean, we saw in the last election when between Jack Connors and Mike Gobble, Trinette Cunningham was campaigning on her letterhead right out of the office. We've got that email. We'll be sharing that also. It's a political hack job, and it needs to go. It's not worth what they paid. It's not a good deal for the taxpayers. Just go out and check with Beaver County and any of the 49 other of the 67 counties that already have abolished them. And we really need to do it because, I mean, we just got hit with this 26% tax increase. We're one of the poorest counties in the state, and it's because you're putting it on the back of the taxpayers and the residents.
We're still trying to get the last 6 counties or 7 counties fall in for the immediate income per property tax.
But I can guarantee you, the way we're structured now, John, with the ones we saw, we were the top 3.
We were in the top 3.
We're going to definitely be in the top 5 or 6.
It looks like we're going to be in the top 5.
Out of 67 counties. And the reason is our commissioners have a steak budget, and they only have they have steak. They want to eat steak, but we have a bologna budget. We can't afford. We just can't afford to maintain the 4th class county status.
Yeah, we can't even afford boiled ham right now.
Right. I mean, and I tell you what, and when I hear them talk about, Donald Trump and these bankruptcies, he never filed personal bankruptcy. Some of the companies he bought were already in bankruptcy, and he bought them. That's a strategy. You buy a struggling company to either turn it around or break it up or whatever. But the hypocrisy of it just blows my mind. Not only is the Huckrotte and Vince Vacides filed bankruptcy, the Democratic committee is broke. There's no money. They can't pay poll workers. Where'd all that money go? Where'd that union money go? That is decades of mismanagement, and that's all fine. That's their business. But now they're coming after the tax dollars. That's why they raised it 26%. And, if you take the mandated stuff that they said, well, this stuff's mandated. Yeah, it's mandated for a 4th class county. A lot of those mandates wouldn't be there for a 5th class county. That's A. And B, the other problem that they have with this, the way they've been spending money, a lot of things they said that were cause for the tax increase were one-time expense. Right? And so why is it a permanent tax increase for a one-time expense?
Well,
they'll just find something else to spend that money on in the next few years.
The lawsuit they knew was there. They knew the lawsuit was there in 2020. They knew it was going to get settled. They didn't know how much it was going to get settled for. The state picked up part of that lawsuit, from what I understand, part of the settlement, and then the county ended up with what, $4.5 million or something.
It was, I don't know. It was a very substantial number.
Yeah,
but okay, so that's a one-time thing, right?
Yep.
Why you raise the taxes for forever?
Well, but they raised taxes in 2021. Right? Did I have that right? 20.
Well, they said they raised them. They said they named for the voting machines. Well,
in the jail.
Yeah, in the jail. Well, guess what? Some of that stuff would have been mandated if we were a 5th class county.
Exactly.
I mean, this is crazy. Like, and we've been eligible. I'm going to look it up real quick, John. While we're here, I'll try to bring it up. But
we would have been the difference between being a 4th place county and a 5th place county, and 5th is the population, and I believe it's 100. The magic number is 145,000, and we're about 20,000 less than that.
We haven't
right now.
been there for a long time.
Probably not.
Yeah, and so the reality is, folks, the commissioners are doing a little shuffle there. When they say, oh, you got mandated spending. But yeah, because you want to keep all your friends in jobs. You won't shrink the government. You won't and I'm not talking about shrinking it to nothing. I'm talking about right-sizing it, right? By the state statute. This is a situation where government actually works if you follow the statutes.
And they keep going back to the CYS thing about the money, but I was under the understanding, and I could be completely wrong. I didn't do a right to know about it, but I was under the understanding that money all got paid sometime last fall. It was all caught up. But I mean,
that's always been a cash flow problem, right? So, but when you get the TANs on top of the TANs, and you don't make contributions year after year to the pension, I mean, and now they're trying to play catch up, and look, I get that, but I'm more concerned about, okay, this is done. What can we do going forward? The only way we're going to get less county taxes if we have less county government. I mean, and what we need to do now, the commissioner should be leading the charge, petitioning the court to move to a fifth-class city. We don't meet the statute, and at some point, that's going to happen. I don't know, John. Maybe that's our next lawsuit. Maybe we'll have to do it. Someone has to do it. The commissioners need to lead, right? And your people on your school boards, it's tough. If you see the numbers, I don't. But if they need to consolidate, they need to start dealing with that stuff. They need to take the bull by the horns and control these consolidations. The commissioners need to control the shrinkage, because we could control the shrinkage in a way that we don't affect our veterans, or we don't affect some of our children or old. Control the situation. They're just going to wait. They're going to wait till someone comes in and tells them, that smacks them on the wrist. They need to get control of this situation, and it's been out of control. It's been out of control for a long time. And they can start right now with eliminating that relic of a jury commissioner's position, which is a big waste of money, and it's a joke. No other look at this: 49 of 67 counties do it. Big counties have said, "Wait a second, we're going to eliminate that," and they save money. Why do we need? Why does do the people in Fayette County don't know? Do these three jury commissioners? I mean, I'm assuming they all know how to read and write, and they're intelligent people. Why do we need three people to run what one jury commissioner can do? And if we need more, maybe you call in a couple people from the clerk's office or something, like you do for election time, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, all hands on deck for the election bureau, so you can handle an election. Throw some extra help up there. There's got to be a way. Other bigger counties than us with much more money are doing it. Why they're just frivolously throwing this money away? Hey, and I get it. It's a friend, or you owe a favor to this person, so you put them in a cushy job. But you know what? This got to stop. We can't afford to do this anymore. And this is right now. The Republicans have control of the county. They need to straighten it out, frankly, because the Democrats are never going to do it. And it's just like you get this corruption that I have seen inside the Democratic Party. It spreads. You get corruption down. And all the way in the park. We're going to detail it all on our website. We're very, very close to having it up and running. I just need about 2 more days. Most of the workings are done. We're posting that letter. We're going to post these things. They're accusing us of disinformation and misinformation. Listen, we're being as straight up and truthful as we can. We have the paperwork.
Well, that's how we work. That's how
we do it. That's how we did it with the injection wells
and the Penn State.
The Penn State thing, we called that early. And the thing is, I wish we were in a position to help Penn State. And I think this is where our senator and our commissioners, they for the most part turned their back on the Krause Funeral Home situation.
Absolutely.
And I don't see. I mean, God, they can't do that to Penn State. And they need to get out there. If you read in some of the newspapers and on the internet, some of the articles about Penn State, some of the commissioners are really rallying. And I hope that
any other counties,
for
the satellite campuses.
Yeah, these satellite campuses are very important to the individual counties that they're in. They tend to be more diverse than the state college thing, and they serve a lower income, a different demographic.
I mean,
they're important, these campuses, these satellite campuses.
The injection well thing, Gino. You went to Philadelphia twice.
Right. Well, the thing about the injection wells, we didn't try to ban injection wells all across the country. We didn't try to we just wanted to protect Fayette County.
Exactly.
And see, that's what the commissioners need to do with Penn State. Screw the other counties, frankly. Get out there, fight for the Fayette campus. Go see what they can do. Other commissioners in other counties are offering cash to Penn State. They're rallying.
We don't got no cash.
Yeah, I know, because
we're $20 million in a hole.
We're paying jury commissioners that we don't need.
We're $20 million in a hole.
Right. But this is what we have. If they got to get out there, people got to fight and maintain this stuff. And we're not. This tax fight's going to go on and on and on. What we need to do
is cut taxes, property taxes for our seniors first.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. How can we have a serious talk about abolishing taxes for seniors when these commissioners won't even get to spending in line? Period. They just won't. And they got to start soon. And please, I'm begging Vince Faccides, Scott Dunn, Dave Lore, get out there. Look at this is just one. This is easy, low hanging fruit. Then after this, I mean, I hate to say this. I heard a rumor that they might be cutting something in Veteran Affairs. You better not touch Veteran Affairs till you eliminate that jury commissioner's seat.
Well, let's
better not touch our vets.
Let's find out what's going on, but we'll get to that. But because there's some things that I have to say about that. Our veterans deserve all they can get and 10 times more.
Exactly.
I mean, they shouldn't go without nothing. They shouldn't go without the proper medical care, a proper housing, and a good meals every day. These people are the ones that fought so we can be here in the United States and live free. And I tell you what, if they do that, there will be some problems. They think this tax thing is bad. I'll come down on them like ugly on an ape. Anyways, it's just terrible.
It never ends, John. It's like we're constantly fighting. But here's the thing. That's okay. And listen, we don't want to just be here and say, they raise taxes. Here's something you can do right away. And over the course of time, over the course of 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you'll save $1 million. And that's $1 million you can take off the debt service. Then we're going to get the exact figures. We just did the right to know request, but it's a start. And there's no way we need 3 people to do the job of one. Other much bigger counties are doing it with one administrative person. And then I'm sure if they get busy, they can pull someone else in from the courts or the clerks or somewhere else. You can move them around. I mean, that's how efficient government works. We just don't see it here. I don't understand. They're in that county commissioners association. And I mean, you have all those other counties.
Well, they're probably. I mean,
that has to have been common knowledge. That's been going on for a long time.
I'm sure they go to them all. I'm sure they go to them meetings because there's probably free meals and there's probably a free trip out of town and fancy hotel. So I mean, that's you're right. You're right. I mean, they go to them just like the Sustainable Pittsburgh situation. I mean, they're all they go down there and then they.
I'll tell you what, that's a scary group.
Well,
I was involved with them, and because I like solar panels and energy efficient building and that. When you really get involved with the core people, you start talking about things like the collective and they don't support property rights. And that's when I checked out. I'm a big property rights advocate. I own property. It's a different thinking. It's like a city thinking versus a rural thinking. It's not like a party thing. It's just the city people think different.
Well, I think if you have a piece of ground, as long as you're not going to affect your neighbor, you should be allowed to do.
Right. I mean, you can't have a radioactive toxic waste dump, but within reason, you should be able to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think that it's your property. You shouldn't even. You shouldn't have to ask for permission to do anything on it. But
oh wait, here, look at it. Okay,
go ahead.
So as of 2020, the population of Beaver County it was over 170,000 and growing. So they're a bigger county. They're significantly bigger than us.
Well,
they've got activity. I'm sure they've got a similar crime rate and everything, and they'll be more accurate numbers in 2020. That's just what I pulled up quick. But anyhow, they're doing it with one person. They abolished their jury commissioners, and the article that I was reading said they did it to save money.
I'm sure the software company that I'm putting that we're changing over to in the recorder's office would be able to come up with a plan. So
well, that's the first. The jury commissioner's position. The commissioners, just 2 of them have to agree. Boom, it's gone. There's an instant savings right there.
Yep.
And the thing that's a little more involved is moving to a 5th-class city and combining these offices.
Yeah.
And even though I know that might affect you, John, I know your heart. You want to do what's best for the county, even if it does mean your job.
Well, that's just the way it is.
If you cut a position, you cut it.
Yeah.
And because we don't need career politicians sucking off the taxpayers like vampires. That you shouldn't get a job in elected and stay there for forever.
Well, I think 8 years. I think 8 years in any office is more than long enough.
Yeah, and I'm not really saying advocating for term limits necessary or anything, because we got guys, they get in, they do a good job, and they get reelected, fine. But I'm saying we, as a county, Fayette County cannot sustain a fourth-class county status and the mandates that come with it. It's not fair to the people in this, when the state has a clear mandate on how to handle this. The commissioners need to lead and step up, but they won't do it because they're part of the machine that sustains themselves.
Well, what we're going to do,
the people have to deal with it.
Yeah, it has to be we the people. And what we're going to try to do is every week on Tuesday, we're going to try to come up with a different idea how the county can save money. So they can't we're just not pointing the finger and saying this is what's wrong.
These are real solutions.
Yeah.
And you have to think with all the consultants that they paid, Susquehanna for years, then the other consultant out of Pittsburgh that they have now, plus their own financial person. You can't come up with ideas to cut? I mean, what's going on here? Other counties do it. What are we paying these people for?
Well,
maybe they made those recommendations and our commissioners chose to look the other way and not follow them. I don't know.
Could be. We might have some information detailing that in the near future.
Yeah, I did. I set myself up for a little later. But hey, no, listen, folks, all we're trying to do is get these taxes lowered. And the only way we're going to do that is put pressure on the commissioners.
And you have to come to the meetings.
Yeah,
you have to come to the meetings.
We're going to ask them at the February meeting. We're going to have the statutes. We're going to, and we'll revisit this topic briefly. But you got to get rid of these political hack jobs. These are just handout jobs. These aren't necessary.
I mean,
this is an administrative function. Selecting a jury. This isn't. And what? So if you're in a Green Party or you're Libertarian or one of the other parties, you can never hold that job. Give me a break.
Maybe you don't get picked for jury. I don't know.
In fact, that's why our state legislature saw through the BS of this jury commissioner thing. This is a relic from the past, and said they did away with it. And that's a big deal for the state to figure out something's wrong and fix it. I mean, that's pretty rare. So the state legislature fixed it, but our commissioners want to cling to this archaic system. And here's the thing: I wouldn't care if they clung to it, but now you're putting it on the backs of the taxpayers. God, it just frustrates me.
Well, you know what they say, the Sally method. The same as last year, and you want to keep going back to the same thing.
Well, it's worse than that. These parties are trying to protect themselves, and particularly the Democrat Party. They want to use this so that they can keep their tight little group. They don't. And like I said, Vince Veces will sell out every Democrat just to keep alive a little bit longer. And we're at the end that finally that corruption's almost gone. It is almost gone. And I hope in my lifetime we see it. And I think that no one's been better for the Republican Party than Vince Veces. He's chased more people over than anyone I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that the
Democrats being out of touch.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about locally.
And the Democrats have left. The
party completely left down.
Yeah, I mean
you
that's
see
what happened.
The only logical place to be is on the conservative. Most of your Democrats here, rural Democrats, tend to be conservative anyhow.
The biggest growing party, believe it or not, is the independents.
It is because a lot of people just had
enough. Yeah. So sooner or later, there's going to be an independent primary, somebody in an independent.
All the more reason to get rid of this jury commissioner's position because it's a relic of the past. It's too expensive, and frankly, we can't afford it. Our people can't afford it. It's a joke.
Well, Gino, I'll tell you what, we're almost done for today. So it's been great. We put out a lot of information today, and we got a lot more coming tomorrow. Believe it or not, and so we'll get back here tomorrow, same time, same channel. Appreciate all the people. We was the #1 viewed show last week on Facebook, and I want to thank everybody for that. So on this road called life, you have to take the good with the bad. Smile with the sad. Love what you got. Remember what you had. Always forgive, but never forget. Learn from your mistakes. People change. Things go wrong. Just remember the ride goes on.